It's 20 degrees outside this morning. It's pretty cold, so that seems like a good day to be inside and painting a winter landscape. So this is the image that we are going to use, and it was taken by a friend of my sister, and it's the Luxembourg countryside, and I've chosen it because it gives us a beautiful patchwork to paint from. So we start by just drawing in the high horizon line up at the top, and then I'm going to draw in the field and the valley below. And I'm also going to draw in the houses that you can see right here so that I can paint around them. So I'm just drawing in the houses, and they are very, very simple shapes, and don't press too hard. Press as hard as you need to see, but no harder. In preparing for this video, I did a very quick sketch, and I decided that I definitely want a beautiful lemony yellow cold sky. And you'll see where I've got the houses in here, and I'm going to paint around the roofs just down here. Sky colour is my Periwinkle 61, a little bit of black, number 20, and a tiny bit of blue, 66. And you want about maybe a dessert spoonful or a tablespoonful. A lovely sort of lemony yellow. It's a little bit dirty, but I kind of like that. A lovely lemony yellow to start with for my sky. And I've got a nice big brush, and I'm going to load it up with the pigment, and I'm going to just run it across the sky, and I turn my page upside down because it's easier to get right up to that horizon line. So there's my beautiful lemon yellow, and then I rinse my brush and I quickly dip into my sky color pre-mixed, and I go straight across. Add a little bit more lavender to my sky mix, and I'm going to paint in these large areas of shadow right here. I'm going to test my shadow mix just on a little bit of scrap paper, and I want it pretty nice and watery and not too dark. So with a large brush, and I paint on the side, you're going to stroke in your shadow color. We're going to do the distant trees in the background, and we're going to do the trees down here. And I love the contrast between the black trees and the white snow and the lemony yellow sky. So in go the trees over here too. Once we've got this mass in, we're going to put in this sort of filigree line of tree trunks over here. Now we want to go darker to get this area in here. So we're going in a good bit darker, and I'm trying to pick up some points of these trees to make sure they look like fir trees, conifers, evergreen. Now to bring the tree line down, I put some yellow ochre on my brush mixed with the black, and I just pull this tree line down. Leaving just a couple of pinholes here for the snow to come through. We have another layer of trees here, which we're going to put in with our yellow ochre, and some over down here. Next comes this area of woodland and this dark mass over here. So we put in this mass of trees, and then we're just going to bring our yellow ochre mix down just a little bit to here, and a little bit over here. I'm pressing down with basically making an abstract sort of tree shape down here. Take my sky mix, and I'm going to add a little bit of darker blue, and I'm going to carve out around the roofs of the houses. So if you didn't get them exactly the shape you wanted the first time, here is your opportunity to just crisp them up just a little bit. And we're going to extend these shadows all the way up the hill and under the ridge here. So I'm going to just use my blue, number 66, to put in some more shadow, some more dark shadow. So our painting is now coming along very nicely, and you can definitely see that patchwork analogy. The foreground is very wet, so we'll put some detail in over here and some detail in over there. Another line of trees over here. Just to push that back line back. And we'll go over here too, and we'll just put in just a sort of a smudgy shape to suggest just the general blur of branches. So we've got our blur of branches here, and we'll just put in a little bit of undergrowth down in here. I want to paint in the smudge of trees in the foreground. For this foreground, I'm going to mix a tiny bit of my burnt sienna in with my sky mix, just to warm it up very slightly. And using the flat side of my brush, I'm going to smudge in some foreground. Really want to do now is paint in the sides of the houses, but I can see that the shadow area is too wet, so I'm going to put some blue down over here for more evening shadow. Just cover up where I made that little drop of paint. With my black, I'm going to extend this line of fir trees down behind this line. So to do the houses, I'm going to take a little bit of lavender and just tuck it in around this side. And if you want, you can carefully leave a window. Side view, I add a little bit more yellow ochre to the lavender. Carefully paint inside. So now the roof stands out. So now all that is left to complete this is to add the trees down here and just to work on the shape of some of the other trees. I'm going to interrupt this house baseline because it's just too straight and too stark by putting in another dark tree. To make these look like pine trees, I'm going to make their base a little bit more triangular, and I'm going to do some cross strokes so it looks like the branches. I go back to this row of trees and put in a little stronger black just at the base here. So having this guideline really helps you get a nice shape. Once everything is dry, you can then erase it. Too regular for words, you can always extend one. Finally, on this last snow mound, we'll put some grasses sticking up through the snow. These grasses are just quick, gentle strokes, just brushes like that, with a little bit of detail, some dots, just to suggest some seed heads at the end. I think I'm going to transform these into pine trees. So this is what the finished painting looks like. So of course I had hoped for some snow today, or some snow on the ground while we did this winter landscape scene, but I guess that's not to be, maybe next week. But in any case, I hope that this landscape has transported you somewhere cold and beautiful, and I look forward to seeing you next week.